If there's one group of people I don't like defending, it's the police. But last week there were two incidents, one on the other side of the Atlantic, one here in Manchester, which I feel obliged to comment on. Let's deal with the Manchester one first. CCTV was released, a small bit of it, from Manchester Airport, of police officers apparently attacking a group of Asian men, and they came in for a lot of criticism. Specifically, one officer, who, this guy was on the ground, he kicked him in the head and stamped on his head. There's something called the Bongino rule, which Dan Bongino says of Donald Trump: before you make any judgment, allow 72 hours for all the facts to come in. When this CCTV was released, the usual idiots were making noise about it. Socialist Workers' Party, their website, it's all about racism. It has to be about so-called racism. Everything's about racism. If it's whites attacking blacks or non-whites, if it's the other way around, it doesn't matter. But they called for the chief of police to be sacked, their police officers to be sacked, and officers to be suspended. Navarra media made, racism, always racism again. There were various pundits. That clown Leroy Logan was called in by a TV channel. Very disturbing, yada yada yada. Now the full footage has been released, and I'll play it here. We can see something very different. I'll play this and I'll keep playing it through. This is film that was obtained by Manchester Evening News. First thing I should say, don't do anything stupid at airports. People have been known to end up behind bars for making stupid jokes at airports, like, I've got a bomb in my luggage, or Semtex, yada yada yada. Don't do anything stupid at airports. That was even the case before September 11, 2001. Nowadays, police at airports, certainly all major airports, wherever there are police at airports, are armed. And Manchester Airport isn't Heathrow, but it's quite a busy one. I haven't flown since 2006, and I'm in no hurry to fly again. But they are major hubs for smuggling, all sorts of illegal activity, and nowadays, of course, the big one, terrorism. It's worth remembering that last week, Anjem Choudary was convicted of, in my humble opinion, thought crime, hate crime, whatever you want to call it. I'll put a link to the article I wrote about him, but others take it seriously. So seriously that a soldier was attacked in Kent very seriously by apparently a jihadi, stabbed him several times, and this guy's now been charged with attempted murder. Bearing that in mind, as these police in Manchester would have been aware, what will they expect with this altercation? Well, to start with, there wasn't one altercation, there were three. There were two before that, involving the same people. And anyone coming towards an armed officer with aggressive intent, or perceived aggressive intent, what's the thing that they suspect? They're going for the gun. So anyone getting into an altercation with an armed officer don't do it. Don't get into altercations with police anyway, if you have a beef, wait till afterwards and write an angry letter to the chief constable or whatever, but don't get involved in fracas. And they weren't aimed with just with guns, they had tasers. What has almost been forgotten is that a female officer had her nose broken. The guy punched her in the face and broke her nose. No way to treat a lady, even a police officer. that's been if not forgotten, then glossed over. And if you look at this footage, as I assume you're doing now, they're very aggressive, these people, very aggressive. And the fact that they are brown skins isn't significant. The fact that they are Muslims could be. This isn't targeting or whatever you want to call it. We have to live with the reality and the things going on the continent at the moment. So, was their behaviour unreasonable? Was it unreasonable for a police officer to kick this guy in the head, stamp on his head? Armed police are told not to use their hands because they're holding guns. So if they don't use their hands, what are they going to use? As I say, we can call this targeting, profiling, whatever you want to call it, but their behaviour was entirely reasonable, and I think they are owed an apology, and the dude who broke that policewoman's nose should be charged with grievous bodily harm with intent. Right, that's all the good things I want to say about the police. On the other side of the Atlantic, a woman was shot dead in her own home by a police officer. He happened to be white and she happened to be black. You'll see the footage of it. I won't play it here. It's some people might find it distressing. She was obviously, she called the police because she thought it was somebody prowling in her yard, but she was obviously a woman she had problems up there. And without wishing to prejudge the situation, I think this officer, he's already been arrested and charged with murder. I think he would be very wise, if offered a plea deal of 15 years for second-degree murder, to take it. This is the way the American police do so many incidents like this. It's only when the victim is black that there's any publicity generated about it. But if this incident at Manchester Airport had happened in the United States, those dudes could quite likely have been shot, and the shootings would have been homicide or whatever, would have been real justifiable. So anyway, that's my observations. The extreme left, as usual, are trying to make capital. Well, they are making capital out of this, but hopefully it will die down now. We don't need this sort of thing, especially at airports.